Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, a divorce valuation expert in St. Louis, Missouri. During this episode, we will discuss many questions about divorce court and valuation with TJ Liles-Tims, a fellow testifying expert witness and valuation expert in Oklahoma City. You can be hired as a consultant or expert witness. Do you ever have to explain that difference to the business owner or have a conversation about that?
So sometimes I do. Most of the time, it is the attorney who contacts me first, and it's an interesting dynamic. They'll contact me first, say, "Hey, I got your name from another family law attorney, and I have this case." Immediately go through conflicts checks. Once conflict checks is over, then they say, "Okay, good. Well, I'm going to have my client call you." And so it's almost like a vetting process that then becomes a conversation with the client. And so typically it depends on what that attorney has had, the conversations they've had with the business owner. Sometimes I have to explain to the business owner, look, I'm not an advocate, and there's going to be questions that I ask you that you're going to think that I'm not, that I think that you're lying to me, or that I think that you're doing something nefarious, or that I don't, I don't believe what what you're telling me. But that's not the case. I mean, I have to remain independent. So therefore, that's why I'm asking these questions. But if an attorney or that client says, look, I want to hire you specifically for consulting purposes, then I can be 100% on your side and figure out how to ask the appropriate questions and be more of an advocate. I typically for whatever reason, that usually, if I'm engaged for that, which quite honestly, I think I've only been probably twice been hired as a consultant. That usually doesn't come till maybe pretrial conference time. I mean, like right before trial. And then it's, hey, I want you to sit right here by me and pass me questions about, that I need to ask my expert or I need to ask the opposing expert. But Melissa, you've been in enough to probably have this as well. It always seems like that you're always hired as a consultant first, as a consulting expert first, then designated as the testifying expert later. And so from that perspective, I generally try to tell the client, look, I'm hired as a consultant right now, but understand that if I'm designated as a testifying expert, anything that I've done prior to me being designated as a testifying expert is going to be discoverable. So be very careful in what you send me. Be very careful in the discussions that we have, because I'm going to have to, get on the stand and divulge, if asked, the conversations we've had. So just be careful and be mindful of those two concepts.
Yeah. And I think I get the same calls from the attorney that has a client that needs a business valuation and divorce and things like that. And I try to have an initial call, nowadays a Zoom call or something, with the client and attorney before I'm engaged, before I'm paid the retainer or anything, so that I can have that, so that I can get them on board, so it's not just me and the attorney and the clients off in the Netherlands, so that I can get them engaged and involved, but that I can talk to them about like what this really looks like, and that you're not going to come in and say, I think the business is worth $1 million and that's what you're going to testify to. But also I've started to put on my emails, like all conversations are discoverable, like in bold letters at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And that the only conversation that they should have via email is to ask me if I'm available for a call. That's it. Like there should be no discussion. But I think that in the past, I wouldn't have that upfront conversation always. And then it would come back to bite me with the client sending some random text when they got aggravated about something, or a random email, right? And then I'm like, okay, now we have it in writing. And I don't think they understand that if I get a subpoena to give them all my records, that they typically ask for emails with the client and such. Now, I don't know about where you're at, but sometimes those are privileged, as work product or work papers.
Right.
I think we'll see that maybe if you do some cases in like federal court, or maybe not divorce, but I'm just trying to be really careful, because I'm always concerned that all of it's discoverable.
Right.
Like, even if the attorney can say, okay, no, not those emails, I try to operate from day one as if there is nothing there. So that when they ask me, where's your emails, where's your notes, I don't have any,
Right.
And I think that that's a little bit different